Decluttering is often presented as a simple act. Just sort through your belongings, decide what stays and what goes, and suddenly you have a tidy, peaceful space. But this is a dangerously shallow way of looking at it, because the truth is decluttering, especially for seniors, is not just about removing objects from a home. It is a profound psychological confrontation with the past, with identity, with loss, and with the inevitable movement of time. And that battle is not fought with trash bags and donation boxes. It is fought in the mind, where the deepest attachments live. Every object has a story. Every book, every piece of furniture, every old photograph. These are not just things. They are symbols of a life lived. And when someone tells you to just get rid of them, what they fail to understand is that it is a comforting illusion to believe that our belongings are the keepers of our past. That by holding on to an object, we are preserving the moments, the people, the emotions attached to it. This is why decluttering feels so deeply unsettling. It's not just the removal of things. It feels like the erasure of memory itself. But this is not true. Your memories are not stored in an old sweater, in a stack of china, or in a stack of letters collecting dust in a forgotten drawer. Your memories exist within you, in your mind, in the stories you tell, in the impact you've had on the lives of others. And yet, the weight of objects can trick us into believing otherwise. That wedding dress tucked away in the back of the closet, what is it really? A piece of fabric? Or a symbol of the life you built, of the love you shared? The books filling your shelves, are they just printed words? Or do they represent the knowledge, the curiosity, the hours spent lost in thought? That old chair in the corner? Was it simply furniture, or does it carry the echoes of conversations, laughter, quiet moments of reflection? It is difficult to separate the physical from the emotional because over the years, they have fused together, tangled like roots that have grown deep into the foundation of your life. The problem is that objects deteriorate. They fade, they break, they get lost. The edges of photographs curl, ink smudges, paper yellows, clothes thin and tear. Furniture weakens. And if we tie our memories too tightly to these fragile things, we risk losing them when the object inevitably fades. But memory does not work that way. The moments that mattered, the lessons learned, the people you have loved, they do not disappear just because an object is no longer there to remind you. We hold on to things because we fear forgetting. We fear that without the constant physical presence of a reminder, we might lose touch with the past, with who we were, with the experiences that shaped us. But memory is not that fragile. It is carried in the way you speak, in the way you react to the world, in the values you uphold, in the way you pass down stories to your children and grandchildren. It is carried in the traditions you continue, in the wisdom you share, in the very way you exist. What happens then when a home becomes overwhelmed with these objects, these reminders? At first, it feels comforting, a house filled with history, with evidence of a life well lived. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the weight of it all begins to shift. What once felt like a connection to the past starts to become a burden. There is no longer space to breathe, to move freely, to embrace the present. The home that once felt warm and familiar starts to feel cluttered, chaotic, overwhelming. And this is where the real struggle begins. Because to let go of objects feels like letting go of the past itself. It feels like admitting that time has moved forward, that things have changed, that certain chapters are now closed. This is painful. There is no easy way around it. But the truth remains, the essence of those memories does not live in the object. It lives in you. Order is the foundation of peace, but chaos loves sentimentality. There is a reason why a cluttered space creates a cluttered mind. Order is not just a matter of aesthetics, it is a reflection of clarity, of purpose, of discipline. When a space is structured, when everything has its place, it allows for focus, for calm, for intentionality. But when disorder takes over, it breeds confusion, stagnation, even despair. And yet, many people, especially those who have accumulated a lifetime of possessions, find themselves resisting the very order that would grant them peace. Why? Because chaos thrives on sentimentality. It whispers the most deceptive of lies. This is important. This is irreplaceable. This must be kept. And so instead of creating a home that is a sanctuary, a space for renewal and ease, many people turn their living spaces into storage units for objects they cannot part with, stacks of papers that might be useful one day, closets filled with clothes that haven't been worn in years but carry the emotional weight of past versions of the self, boxes of old gifts, of broken items waiting to be fixed, of trinkets that once seemed meaningful but now serve no real function. The accumulation happens gradually, almost unnoticed, until one day the weight of it all becomes undeniable. The sentimental attachment to objects is not inherently bad. It is human nature to find meaning in physical things. A watch passed down from a father, a letter from a dear friend, a book that changed your perspective. These are not just things. They are symbols, connections to the past, reminders of love, of growth, of identity. But sentimentality becomes dangerous when it overrides reason, when it prevents movement, when it turns a home into a museum of the past rather than a place of living in the present. There is something insidious about unchecked sentimentality. It often disguises itself as virtue. I keep these things because they matter, one might say, but what is really happening? More often than not, the refusal to part with objects is not about honoring the past, it is about fearing the future. It is about resisting the reality that time has passed, that change is inevitable, that no amount of hoarding will bring back what is already gone. And in that resistance, chaos takes root. A room filled with disorganized clutter is not just physically overwhelming, it is psychologically exhausting. The mind, whether consciously or unconsciously, is always processing its environment. When everything is in order, the mind can rest, it can focus, it can engage with the present moment. But when chaos reigns, every object becomes a distraction, a reminder of unfinished business, of unresolved emotions, of the sheer volume of the past demanding to be acknowledged. It is no wonder that many people, as they age, feel trapped in their own homes. Not because they lack the ability to move, but because the environment itself has become a reflection of internal disorder. Sentimentality tells you to hold on, just in case. It convinces you that every item is significant, that letting go is a form of betrayal, that an empty shelf or a clear table is somehow an erasure of identity rather than an act of liberation. But what it does not tell you is that order is not just about getting rid of things. It is about making space for clarity, for freedom, for the ability to live without the constant weight of objects dictating your state of mind. And so the battle between order and chaos is not fought in the act of organizing alone. It is fought in the mind, in the willingness to confront the real reasons behind attachment, in the courage to choose what truly serves your well-being over what merely satisfies a fleeting sense of nostalgia. Chaos will always find an excuse to stay. It will appeal to emotions, to the illusion of permanence, to the comforting but misguided belief that physical things are the same as memories. It will make you believe that order is unnecessary, that simplicity is a loss rather than a gain. But order, when embraced, offers something that sentimentality never can: peace.